I was telling you is this is the first experiment, that is the resistive series circuit, and in experiment what all will be given is what is the input voltage, that is the V in DC, and three resistors values will be given, so R1, R2, R3. You have to take the resistors values, and just after taking the resistors from the lab, so I'm considering you all are there in lab in JIT. So after taking the resistance values, you have to measure all the resistance values by using a ohm meter. That is a very first thing. And just to check whether the resistance is functioning properly or not, or resistance is okay or not, so there is a test. So you might be knowing that resistances are having a lot of color coding. So color coding are actually telling you the value of resistances. So in one color coding, let's say the value of resistance is found to be 1 kilo ohm, that is 1000 ohm. And there is another color coding which is called as the tolerance band. So there is the fourth band in any resistor. So tolerance band of gold, so there can be gold tolerance band, there can be silver tolerance band. So tolerance band actually is telling about the deviation in the resistance values. So if it's a 1 kilo ohm resistance given to you, then it will be exactly 1 kilo. Very less time it will be 1 kilo ohm exactly, but it will be something other than 1 kilo ohm. But that something other also falls in a range, so that you have to check first. So if it is gold kind of tolerance band on the resistance, that means it is plus minus 5%. That means the resistance values can deviate maximum 50 ohm in both the sides. So it can be 50 ohm more than 1000, or it can be 50 ohm less than 1000. So how did I find the 50 ohm? If it is 1 kilo ohm resistance, 1 kilo ohm means 1000 ohm, 5% of that is 50 ohm. Okay, so the resistance values will be in the range of 950 ohm to 1050 ohm. So 1 kilo ohm resistance with gold tolerance band will be in the range of 950 ohm and 1050 ohm. So if the resistance value is anything in between 950 to 1050, you can use that resistance in your practical examination, or you can tell or the exact values of the resistor. So practical values, so I have categorized the resistor value into two things. Whatever is the exact value given to you as per color coding, that I am calling as theoretical value of resistance, that is 1 kilo ohm. And whatever you find after measuring by using ohm meter, that value I am calling as a practical value. So a 1 kilo ohm resistor may not show you exactly 1 kilo ohm. So 1 kilo ohm is a theoretical value, but the practical value may be 990 ohm, or the practical value may be 1020 ohm. Then also it is okay. If it is 990 ohm means it is greater than 950, it is okay. If it is 1020 ohm, then also it is okay. But if the value falls below 950 ohm, so if a 1 kilo ohm resistor with 5% tolerance band gives you the value of 900 ohm, that means you have to get the resistance replaced, because its value has fallen and it has gone out beyond the tolerance band. So this is a very important concept you have to remember. These are very small things, but makes a lot of difference, because not every time whatever component given to you will be correct. In no college in the whole universe will be giving you all the components correct. Okay, but as an engineer you have to check that whatever components you are getting for doing the experimentation is right. So first you have to check all those components starting from multimeter. What do you do unnecessarily waste time during practical? Sir, this ammeter is not functioning, voltmeter is not functioning, this is not functioning, and that. So don't do that. So there is identification for every instrument or every component. You can check whether that is functioning, that is proper, or that has gone bad. So if it has gone bad, we are having ample amount of instruments in our lab. Okay, so get it replaced as soon as possible. So it starts with resistance. So if you are finding it's a value of resistance with tolerance band, then first thing you should calculate in your mind what should be the lowest value and what can be the highest value of the resistance as per the tolerance band. So if the resistance value after measuring by ohm meter is falling in that range, you can use that with little deviation. So 1000 ohm resistance might give you value of 990 ohm, it might give you the value of 1020 ohm, but it's okay because it is in between the range of 950 ohm to 1050 ohm. But if it is going beyond 1050, that means it is showing resistance value of 1100 ohm, don't use that. If the resistance value is showing 900 ohm, don't use that, because it has crossed the tolerance band and it has been deviated to a very great extent. Okay. So these are some of the cautions that I'm sounding but remember all these things in your experiment. So what is this experiment all about? So let us see. So there are problem statement. So for the series resistance, three resistors combined combination, what all things we can find out? Okay, that we have to check. So finding is very easy. Only I'll be explaining a lot of things, but when you start doing it, the whole experiment can be completed in 10 minutes time. First thing, find equivalent resistance of the circuit. Okay, so three resistances are given, R1, R2 and R3. You know whenever all the resistances are in series, how to find the equivalent resistance? Equivalent resistance is nothing but addition of all these three. So R equivalent will be R1 plus R2 plus R3 ohm. So don't forget to mention the unit anywhere. So V in, whenever it is voltage, it should be in volt or millivolt. I in, current, milliampere or ampere. Resistance, it can be kilo ohm, mega ohm, ohm. Okay, so whenever I am saying R1, R2, R3, three resistances are in series, find equivalent resistance of the circuit. So in calculation, you can do it very easy. R equivalent is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Second thing, what I've asked you is find the current through each resistor. That is a very important thing. So you know what is the input voltage. So V input and resistances are R1 plus R2 plus R3. So the total current in the circuit we know is equal to input voltage divided by equivalent resistance. So it will be V in divided by R1 plus R2 plus R3. That is the equivalent current through the circuit, total current through the circuit, or input current to the circuit, any name you give. So here I am telling the name as I in. How do you know three components are in series? If the three resistances all are carrying the same current, so the same I in current is getting circulated through all resistances. That means all these resistances are in series. So find current through the each component of the circuit. That means current through R1, current through R2, current through R3. Everything will be same as the current that we have found out as IN. That is V divided by R equivalent. So second point is also over. Find current through each resistor. It will be V in divided by R1 plus R2 plus R3. Now whenever you are writing this journal, you have to take three combinations of R1, R2, R3. So I will be showing you the calculation with one set of resistor combination. You can take three different sets of resistor combination, and the same calculation you have to repeat for three different sets. And as students are staying home, you don't have communication with each other, so you just take different resistor values. So don't copy others readings. Any resistor values you can take, and before that just go through internet and find out what are the standard value of resistances. So voltage in also you can choose, resistor combinations also you can choose. But one caution is whenever you are choosing resistances, you should be choosing in 10. So it should not happen that R1 you are taking as 1 mega ohm and R2 you are taking as 100 ohm. It should not happen. So what you can take is R1 100 ohm, R2 you can take 220 ohm, R3 you can take 330 ohm. So this is one combination. And calculate all these things: equivalent resistance, equivalent current, equivalent voltage, power through all the components, and all these things. Second set, you can take R1 as 1 kilo ohm, R2 as 4.7 kilo ohm, R3 you can take as 8.2 kilo ohm. Okay, so all the resistance are in kilo ohm. And next you can take R1 as 100 kilo ohm, R2 as 120 kilo ohm, R3 as 150 kilo ohm, all those things. So likewise, in the same range you can take the resistor values, and every time you will be able to prove what is called as KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law. What Kirchhoff's voltage law says? Actually that will be your next experiments, but circuit will be same. It says that whatever voltage drops you are having across each of the resistance, if you add them, that will be same as input voltage. Okay, so that also you can prove from the same circuit. Next fundamental question: find the voltage across individual resistor. So what do we know? How can we find what is the current through the circuit? So we have to connect an ammeter in the circuit. The ammeter is connected in series with the resistance through which you want to measure the current. But third point is find the voltage across individual resistor. So how to calculate the voltage? So first you know what is the resistance value, and you know how much is input current. So current multiplied by resistance is the voltage across R1. We call how to find this voltage across R2. So you know what is the current IN and resistance R2. So V is equal to I into R. Only one formula we are using for this experiment, that is Ohm's law. So V is equal to I into R. So IN into R2 will be V2. IN into R3 will be V3. Okay. So that is actually finding V1, V2 and V3. And fourth problem statement, what is said as show that the input voltage is equal to the addition of voltage across all three resistances. So whenever you are finding, so first job is to find R equivalent. Okay, why are you finding R equivalent? That is R1 plus R2 plus R3. We are finding that to find IN. So V in divided by equivalent resistance is equal to IN. Once you find IN, then you can multiply IN with each individual resistor and you can find each individual resistive voltage. That is V1, V2 and V3. After you find V1, V2 and V3, then you have to add V1, V2 and V3 and you will find what is input voltage. So input voltage, if you give 8 volt, you will be finding that suppose this is 5 volt, this is 2 volt and this is 1 volt. Okay, depending on the value of resistances. So 5 plus 2 plus 1 will be equal to 8. So what is this principle called? This principle is called as KVL. And this series resistive circuit is also called as a voltage divider circuit. Why is it called voltage divider? Because whatever voltage you are supplying, that gets divided across all these resistances as per their resistance ratio. So if the resistance ratio of R1 as to R2 as to R3 is 5 as to 3 as to 2, then whatever voltage you are giving here, that will also get divided in the ratio of 5 volt as to 3 volt as to 2 volt. Okay, so that's why this is called as a voltage divider circuit. So you won't have to calculate IN. You have to just check what is the input voltage and you have to check what is the ratio of all the resistances. You can divide the input voltage as per the ratio of all the resistances in the circuit without even finding current input. Mathematically, just by dividing the voltage in the ratio of the resistances, you can tell what is the VR1, VR2 and VR3. So that is actually being possible because of KVL. So first thing you have to find is R equivalent. From there you have to find IN. After finding IN, multiply IN with each of the resistance and you are getting what is V1, V2 and V3. Finally again add V1, V2, V3. It should be equal to input voltage. So these are the first 4 points that we will see. We will prove first. For any circuit, series resistive circuit, we can prove this very easily. Fifth point is something new for you. Calculate what is the power input to the circuit. Now for circuit, the input power, the resistive circuit, input power is having some 2-3 different definition. So power actually is equal to voltage into current. So power is equal to V into I. Now V again you can, as per Ohm's law, V also you can say as I into R. So power is equal to V into I, or power can be equal to I square R. So I can ask you, how much is the power in this input voltage? So input voltage power means whatever voltage source you are showing. Okay, how much is the power delivered by that voltage source? That is very important. So here one concept is there, that is there are some power which is being supplied. Who is supplying the power here? This input voltage source is supplying the power here. And what are this R1, R2, R3 doing? They are actually dissipating the power, or they are actually eating up the power. Okay, so this V in, this source, this voltage source is called as a power source actually for this circuit, and this R1, R2, R3, they are called as load, or they are eating up the power, they are dissipating the power in form of heat, and they are actually called as sink. So V in is called as a source, and this R1, R2, R3, they are called as a sink. Sink means where the power is going in and power is getting dissipated, power is getting used, or power is getting wasted sometime. Okay, so these are the very input terms, important terms in case of circuit. What is power source and what is power sink? So in this case, I can ask you, what is the total power input to the circuit? So input power can be calculated as voltage input multiplied by current input. So if you are multiplying these two, voltage and current, you are getting the input power to the circuit. That is Vn into In. Then last thing, you have to show that total power dissipated. How can we find total power dissipated? Because power is getting dissipated at all the resistances. So R1 is dissipating some power. Dissipating is utilizing, it is getting heated up, it is doing some work. Maybe R1 resistance, in place of resistance, actually you can show a loudspeaker here. So whatever is the loudspeaker resistance, maybe that is given by R1. In case of R2, you can keep a fan. Okay, fan is having a resistance. So this R1, R2, R3 all are called as load. Load means electrical load. Actually, they are doing some work. R3 may be some DC device. It can be a DC motor. It's having some kind of internal resistance. That is actually R3. So whatever supply you are inputting, that is running a loudspeaker, that is running a light, a bulb, maybe DC, and that might be running a DC motor. So whatever voltage you are giving, that is actually getting dissipated across all these loads. That means they are doing some power. So this loudspeaker, it is generating some sound. So this electrical energy is getting converted to sound. This electrical energy is getting converted to light, because R2 is a bulb. And this electrical energy is getting converted to mechanical energy, because this R3 may be load, maybe a resistance, this may be a motor. Okay, so for the first thing, you are getting output in the form of sound. There is the same electrical to sound converter. R2 may be a light, so from electricity to light. And third thing, electricity to mechanical speed. Okay, so these are actually significances of resistance. We are not using the load directly, that's why we are showing electrical load as resistance in the practical. So R1, R2, R3, they can be all the electrical loads. So whatever supply you are giving, that is actually you are giving in form of some power. So Vn into In is the power, and that is getting dissipated in R1, R2 and R3. So what is the input power to the circuit? It is Vn into In. Okay. And so here it is given. So total input power to the circuit is given by source power or input power. It is Vin into In. So whatever you had calculated initially, so this current In or this loop current In, they are all same. Okay, either you show it in branch or you show it in loop, the same. So In into Vin is the input power. Next, what is the power dissipated in the all resistance? So this is In square into R equivalent. So either you add all these resistances, get R equivalent, R1 plus R2 plus R3. So In square into R equivalent. You can do that, or you can do In square into R1 plus In square into R2 plus In square into R3. Then also whatever total thing you are getting, that is called as dissipated power or sink power. And for every circuit, you have to show that the source power is equal to sink power. So whatever power is delivered by this Vin supply voltage, that will be equal to the power dissipated in all the resistive components that are present in the circuit. So in this circuit, there are three resistive components. That's why this source power will be dissipated into all these three components. So all these formulas are very important. So either find R equivalent, R1 plus R2 plus R3. So In square into R1 plus R2 plus R3. That will be the sink power. And Vin into In, that is the source power. So finally what you have to prove for every circuit, that is Vin into In is equal to In square into R1 plus R2 plus R3. So all the six problem statement I have defined for this very simple circuit, and all these calculations you have to do for three sets of resistor and three different values of input voltage. And there is a concept of practical resistance value and theoretical resistance value. So you have to do the same thing for theoretical resistance as well as practical resistance. Now practical resistance now you cannot do, because whatever you will be doing now, all these experiments you will be doing via some simulator. And whenever in some kind of circuit simulator you are using a 1 kilo ohm resistance, it will be showing 1 kilo ohm only. It is not going to show any deviation, because it's a circuit simulator. It's an ideal case. Okay. But whenever you are in the lab, at that time your experimented value and your theoretically calculated value, they will be different. Okay, little bit of difference will be there, because whatever 1000 ohm resistance you are considering here in theoretical calculation, in practical it might be 990 ohm. Whatever 470 ohm you are taking theoretical value here, that will not be 470, that might be 455 ohm. Whatever 100 ohm resistance you are considering here, that might not be 100 ohm, that may be 104 ohm. It is possible. Okay, hence there will be little deviation in the theoretical value of resistances, theoretically calculated In, theoretically calculated power, and practical value of resistances, practical value of In, and practically calculated input power and dissipated power. So all those things you have to show, validate practically during experimentation. So I'll actually show all the 6 agendas. So these are 6 problem statements. I have to show all the 6 problem statements, how to solve it step by step. So solving numerical is not a big deal for you. So all these things you can solve in 5 minutes, but there are certain small issues and small cautions, small notes that are there in this experiment that I'll try to explain. Let us say, so start with, so there are 6 agendas. So all the 6 agendas I'll be solving one by one. Let us say, so what is the first agenda? This is a circuit, same circuit. Find the equivalent resistance of the circuit and use ohm meter to measure the R equivalent. Now you have to think you are in the lab. Whenever you are in the lab, we will give you a circuit. After getting the circuit, you have to get the components issued from the lab store. So how many components you are going to issue here? You have to get 3 values of resistance issued. Actually, you have to get 9 values of resistance issued, because you have to do in the observation table, you have to make 3 combinations of resistances. So one combination I have shown you, and 2 more combinations you have to invent and you have to do the calculation for. So whenever you are in the lab, you have to get 9 resistances issued. You have to measure them first by using ohm meter, and you have to write their practical values. That is very important. So all of you have to keep a lab notebook. In that lab notebook, you have to write the experiment number, date of the experiment, and you have to keep on writing in the left side the theoretical values of resistance, and in the right side the practical value of resistance. Okay. And while measuring resistances, there is certain caution that you want to measure the value of resistances. How to measure it? So if you want to measure the resistance R1, so this is one component given to you. What you do is you connect the ohm meter across it. But obviously in that case the circuit is not built. Circuit is not a closed circuit. Okay. A separate resistance is given to you. You connect ohm meter across it and you get how much is the resistance value. So that is actually the practical resistance value. So theoretical value is 1000 ohm, practical value may be 990 ohm. Then calculate this one, R2, theoretical value is 470 ohm, practical value may be 455 ohm. Then R3, theoretical value is 100 ohm, practical value may be 104 ohm. So all this value you have to write side by side in the notebook. Okay, and once it is measured, it is done. Then every time you will not have to measure, because the practical value is not going to change over time. First thing is find the equivalent resistance of the circuit. So equivalent resistance 1000 ohm, 470 ohm, 100 ohm, that is 1570 ohm. How much is the practical R equivalent? In that case it will be 990, maybe plus 455, maybe 104. Okay, so this practical case comes when you are in the lab. Whenever you are doing the same thing by simulator, it will be all theoretical case, all standard values. So use ohm meter to measure the R equivalent. Now how to measure R equivalent? So ohm meter, one end you have to connect here, another end you have to connect here. Okay, so these 3 resistances, first you have to make this resistances series combination. So either you can use breadboard or there are different kind of tag board or something in the lab. You can connect these 3 resistances in series, and then you can connect ohm meter across this point. So this is the starting point and this is the ending point. In that case, it will be showing you what is the equivalent resistance. But there is a very important concept, that is to measure the equivalent resistance. First, break the loop in the circuit and then measure the R equivalent. What is meant by break the loop? In that case, this is a connection. Okay, this connection you have to remove. So just by connecting the whole circuit, if you try to measure resistance, it will give you a wrong reading. Whenever you are trying to measure resistance, you have to break the loop. Break the loop means just remove the V in. Break the loop means just break this connection here, or break this connection, or just keep resistances in series. So this is also loop is broken. I think this is the best diagram to understand what is meant by breaking a loop. Okay, so just keeping everything in the circuit just in a closed loop, if you are trying to measure the resistance, it is going to definitely give you a wrong R equivalent reading. The reason I have explained later on. But first, to measure equivalent resistance, break the loop in the circuit and then measure R equivalent. So first you have taken R1, R2, R3, you have connected them in series, you have measured them separately first, and then you have connected them in series, and now you are connecting ohm meter. Why have I shown this by dashed lines? Dashed line means they are temporary connection. Okay, so just you have connected it here, you have connected it here, then this ohm meter will show you the reading of R1, R2, R3. So if R1 value is 1000, R2 is 470, R3 is 100. So R1 plus R2 plus R3 will be 1570 ohm. That is actual theoretical value. So this ohm meter will give you a reading of 1570 ohm. But very important thing is to measure this, the loop has to be broken. That means this connection has to be broken. With this connection, if you are trying to make connection or if you are trying to make the ohm meter reading, it will be giving you 0 ohm. So very important thing, just check. So first you have made the whole circuit and then you are trying to measure the resistance across R1 and R3. So R1, R2, R3 together they are forming a R equivalent. Now you have connected ohm meter at this point. So this point is same because this is short and this all points are same. So now you are connecting ohm meter here. This is going to give you 0 ohm reading. Same resistance, but this is going to give you 0 ohm reading. So it is saying connecting ohm meter without breaking or without opening the closed loop. If you are connecting the ohm meter, then it is going to give you R equivalent as 0. Why is it so? Because in this case, it looks like this path whichever is there, which is the connection which I am asking you to break. Okay, any one point you break, so just this point you break, or maybe this point you break, or just remove the input voltage. That itself is breaking the loop. Okay, so keeping the V in, connecting all this, if you are trying to measure the resistance, it is going to give you 0. Why so? Because in this case, what's happening is this R1, R2, R3 resistance is there. That is 1000, 470 and 100. This is giving you 1570. But just check what is the overall resistance here in this path from here to here. Now this is a short circuit path. Okay, because this supply voltage, ideal DC supply voltage internal is 0. Okay, this is a very important concept. This is a supply voltage. This is an ideal input DC supply voltage. This is having internal resistance of 0. That means this point is shorted, and this is the whole circuit connected. So what is the resistance between this point and this point? So between these 2 points where you are connecting the ohm meter. So this whole thing is having resistance of 0. So now without breaking the loop, if you are connecting the ohm meter, it seems to be ohm meter connected across a short circuit path. So there is a short circuit path, and across that you are connecting a ohm meter because you are not opening the loop for measuring the equivalent resistance. So if you are not opening the loop and connecting a ohm meter, means you are connecting these 3 resistances across a short circuit path and you are trying to measure what is the resistance across this short circuit path. So with loop not broken, the circuit acts as a parallel circuit of resistance R, R1, R2, R3 and short circuit. So with loop not broken, circuit acts as a circuit of resistance R equivalent in parallel with a short circuit path. So this is the short circuit path, and this short circuit path is having resistance as 0 ohm. So what is the parallel combination then? So this is R1, R2, R3, that is R equivalent, and this is actually 0 ohm. So here R equivalent, when loop not broken, that is equal to R1, R2, R3, that is 1570 parallel 0 ohm, and that will be equal to 0 ohm. So this is the reason why if you are not opening the loop and trying to measure what is the equivalent resistance, in that case the ohm meter will show you 0 reading. So when you are in the lab, when you are coming back, try to find out So whenever you are in the lab, try to find out what exactly happening between if you are not opening the loop, and then also if you are trying to find out the resistance, then you will be finding equivalent resistance as 0. As in conclusion is very important. That is, we must open the closed loop before connecting the ohm meter for measuring R equivalent. So here it is said that we must open the closed loop. So open means just break this connection, or just remove the vein, don't connect it, or just leave it like this, R1, R2, R3 separate. So they are in series, and at one end of R1 and at another end of R3, you keep the ohm meter. But don't connect the whole thing and then measure resistance. That will be wrong. So there is a very big mistake that students are making. They don't know exactly how to or they cannot understand how to measure resistance equivalent. So first thing, while measuring the equivalent resistance, remove the shorted path across the resistance and then measure what is the equivalent resistance. So there's a conclusion. First conclusion, we must open the closed loop before connecting the ohm meter for R equivalent. And whatever I am telling you, this is applicable for all circuits. Don't think only this is applicable for experiment 1. So whenever you are doing experiment 2, 3, 4, wherever you are measuring equivalent resistance, there remove the connection, break the circuit connection loop, and then try to measure the resistance between those 2 points between which you are asked to measure the equivalent resistance. So very important concept. Same thing, there's another important concept here. That is, every resistance has a tolerance band. So I told you before. So here I am trying to give you the explanation about practical equivalent resistance. So previously you have seen theoretical equivalent resistance. Here I am telling you what is meant by practical equivalent resistance. But this practical thing comes only when you are in lab here at the institute. So every resistance has a tolerance band. That is the fourth color coding band. Example, there is a gold color band. Gold color band is having tolerance of plus minus 5%. That means whatever value resistance is showing, actual value can be greater than 5% of that or less than 5% of that. 5% of its original value. So color band is the fourth color band. So all resistors with gold band, so this is a case I am giving you, okay, and all resistors are assumed to having gold band. So R1 is 1000 ohm. So first resistance I have taken as 1000 ohm. Second resistance I am taking as 470 ohm. Third resistance I am taking as 100 ohm. So these are called standard value of resistances. Each resistance value can deviate plus minus 5%. Okay. So in this case, what you will find is this 1000 ohm will be maximum 1000 plus 5% of 1000, that is 50. So this R1 can be maximum 1050, minimum it can be 950. This 470 ohm, 5% of that, that is 23.5 ohm. So this or you can show it like this, actual value plus minus 5% value. So R2 can be in the range of 470 plus minus 5% of 470, that is 23.5. So it goes highest to 493.5 and lowest value can be 446.5. So R2, whenever you are measuring by ohm meter, it will be in the range of 446.5 ohm up to 493.5 ohm. Anything, any value beyond 493.5 or less than 446.5 is not acceptable. So that you have to check whenever you are in the lab. Third resistance 100 ohm, this is plus minus 5%. So 5% of 100 ohm is 5 ohm. So maximum value of this 100 ohm resistance can be 105. Minimum value of 100 ohm can be 95. Okay, so this third resistance R3, whenever you are measuring by separately by ohm meter, this should be giving you a value in between 95 ohm to 105 ohm. So these are the practical value of resistances and these are the theoretical value of resistances. So all the calculations are equivalent, I in power calculation you have to do for two sets of values. One is what is the theoretical value and one is what is the practical value. How can you get the practical value? Just by measuring all these resistances by means of ohm meter at the starting of the practical. So R1 will be in the range of 1050 to 950 as it is said. R2 will be in the range of 446.5 up to 493.5. R3 will be in the range of 95 up to 105. Okay, so this slide is actually giving you the concept of tolerance and this is applicable for all the experiments. So first you have to check because these are most of the experiments are by using resistive components. So every experiment as soon as you get some component resistor, please check its value by measuring it by using ohm meter and just check whether it is color coding. Some students are not able to join. Madam, some students they are saying it is 100 number is achieved. What to do?
Sir, actually, meaning there is a limit, I guess, of 100 students. Maybe we can use their usual lab, usual class meet.
Okay.
Should I send you the mail with
Again,
that?
I have to do all this linking and all.
Sir?
So next day, again I have to launch it, right?
Yes, yes, sir. Otherwise, I can launch it. You can just present. I can host it and start recording. It stays in one place, sir. They have a
Madam, these students, they actually are waiting since long, so they have not listened to all these initial things. So I
okay.
can do this session again for them, or I can upload the video to them. That can happen. And next
Okay.
day onwards, we'll be doing with the actual usual video link.
Okay.
That
Okay.
can happen. Okay.
Okay.
So when
Okay.
I upload this, after that, if they're having any doubt, they can ask me.
Yes, yes, sir. We can take
So
a doubt solving session
yes,
later.
yes, yes. So
Yes.
today we will continue with this only.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Fine.
it's almost the initial part is done.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'll continue with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
I'll
Yes.
send the link. They can listen to that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Fine. Fine.
So now, so this R1, R2, R3 values are actually practical values are calculated, and we have to take a decision. During actual lab, after taking all the components, first measure the values of all components R by ohm meter. So I'm telling you the same thing repeatedly. Don't get bored, because these are cautions we are telling repeatedly to students, but then also they are making mistake. It is happening that sometimes they are given 220 ohm resistance in case of 2.2 kilo ohm resistance. 220 ohm and 2.2 kilo ohm, they are having only one difference in one color band, and they cannot distinguish. Okay, so they start doing the experiment with that, and they don't get the result, assuming that resistance is actually 220 ohm, but actually it is 2.2 kilo. Okay, and later on we blame array lab assistant ne kharab component diya ye wo. So there is no point of that, because whenever any component is given to you, let it be ammeter, voltmeter, let it be multimeter, let it be resistance, resistors, inductor, capacitor, transistor, any component given to you, there is a certain method to check whether that component is functioning properly or not. So being an engineer, it takes hardly 5 minutes to check all the components. So first check all the components and then start doing experiment. It is applicable for all the experiments. Okay, so this color coding thing is one method by which you can check whether the resistance value is deviated. Resistance value will not be exactly same. So 1000 ohm will not be exactly 1000 ohm. It will be showing some deviation. It has to. But that deviation should not be too much. That deviation also should be within our limit, 950 to 1050. If it is a gold band of color coding, that is a tolerance band. Okay, so during the actual lab session, so that's why a simulation does not give you the real feel of experimentation, because nothing goes wrong in simulation. Everything is right. Okay, that's why you don't get the real feel. So whenever you are in the lab, the small things, small troubleshooting you have to do, and then you get the real feel of how to do the experimentation. And a lot of things can go wrong. Okay, and you keep on doing the troubleshooting during experimentation, and then only you can get it right till the last. But it's a very simple process, logical process. So doing experiment in the lab develops your troubleshooting logic in the circuit. And as soon as you are not getting the output, you come back to sir, output nahi aa raha out. So it is not output that is important. It is the process, how you are doing the troubleshooting and how you are getting the output. That is actually you are supposed to learn, and we are supposed to teach. So output nahi aa raha hai, I come to you and I show the output and you are happy, write the reading and go home. That is not the main agenda. The main agenda is components are given to you, objective is given to you, you do all the connections, you take the reading, and you prove whatever theorem is you are asked to prove, and finally you get all the readings, theoretical value, practical value, that matches with each other. Whatever you have calculated, the same kind of reading you are getting with little deviation, but that is okay. And that deviation always comes because of a little bit of tolerance value in all the resistances. There is some kind of human error, So whenever you are setting this input voltage, suppose I have asked you to set as 8 volt. Okay, maybe you are not able to set exactly at 8 volt. Maybe it is 7.9, or maybe it is 8.2, or maybe it is 8.02 or something. So all those very simple small things might get accumulated and give you little variation. Okay, but then also we can prove that yes, one experiment is properly conducted. So that is the real fun of experiment, and we'll do it whenever you come back here. We will be able to get it done. So during actual lab, after taking all the components, first you measure values of all the components. That is very important. Okay, and after measuring all the components, you have to write it down and write down the measured R values in your lab notebook. That is very important. So first of all, you are supposed to find out how many resistances are there. Suppose all the resistance values you are taking, then measure them by ohm meter and then write down the resistance values in your notebook. So if resistance R1 is found, let's say 1100 ohm, so resistance R1 is 1000 ohm, but it is giving you 1100 ohm, or it is actually giving you maybe 930 ohm or something, then and there discard that resistance, because we know that it's a 1000 ohm resistance and it is actually having 5% tolerance band, so it cannot be greater than 1050. It cannot be less than 950. Okay, because 5% of 1000 is 50. So whatever is the deviation from 1000, it should be either 50 in the higher side or 50 in the lower side. Here if it is 930 means lower side it is showing deviation of 7%. Okay, and higher side it is showing deviation of 10%. So if some measured value for 1 kilo ohm resistor with gold band is giving you 930 or 1100, discard that resistor then and there and ask the lab assistant to give you another resistor. Okay, but you people do not think of it. Arey chalta hai, ho gaya, is given, let us do. Don't do that, because that resistance might have gone bad from inside. Okay, so this measure of tolerance, this tolerance actually is a measure of whether the resistance is within the acceptable level. Okay, that is very important. Okay. Now execute step 1. So these three things are very important conclusion which is coming from the tolerance band. So this is the significance of tolerance band. So during actual lab, after taking all the components, measure their values, write down their values as practical values. So these are all theoretical values, these are all practical values, write side by side clearly. And if resistor is showing value deviation more than the tolerance band, discard the resistor and get another new set of resistors then and there. So next, execute step 1. So still we are in the step 1, we are having 6 agendas. Now execute step 1. So what is the first thing in the step 1? Break the loop in the circuit, connect ohm meter across 3 resistors and note down the R equivalent practical reading. So there are two readings. One is R equivalent theoretical, that is 1000 plus 470 plus 100, that is 1570. And with the measured values of R1, R2, R3, whenever you are calculating what is the total added value of the equivalent resistance, that will be R equivalent practical. That will be R1 equivalent practical, R2 practical and R3 practical. Adding them, and that is giving you R equivalent practical. But this thing happens only when you come here, when you are in the lab. For now, whenever you will be experimenting with some kind of software, circuit making software, it will be only the actual values. So 1000 plus 470 plus 100. So this slide I am showing you all the different cases when you are in the lab. So R equivalent theoretical is 1000 plus 470 plus 100, that is 1570. So this is the last step in the previous agenda. That is, there are 6 points to be done. So first point is find equivalent resistance. There is 1000 plus 470 plus 100, 1570. And you are in the lab, you have to do one more step after that, it will be R equivalent practical. So this may be 990, this may be 455, this may be 104. So this might give you a value of 1549 ohm. So that is another thing you have to find out, which is by measured value. Second point, here also find equivalent current. So equivalent current has to be found out when all resistors carrying the same current component I in here, means they are in series. So how to understand whether resistance is in series or not? The same current component is getting circulated through all. So in this case, there are 4 components. One is input voltage, one is resistance R1, R2, R3. This Vin also may be coming in series or parallel with resistance. So you only think that resistance can be in series or parallel. No, the voltage supply also can be in series or parallel, and that makes a lot of difference. Okay, so here this Vin is carrying the current In. This R1, R2, R3 all are carrying the same current In. Okay, hence this Vin, R1, R2, R3 all are is actually in series. So that is what is written here. When all resistors carrying the same current component In, then it means that they are in series. Use ammeter in the multimeter. So you'll be given a multimeter that will be having AC/DC ammeter, that will be having AC/DC voltmeter, that will be having ohm meter. So inside multimeter, whatever DC ammeter is there, because this is DC supply, whatever current is produced, that will be DC current. So use the DC ammeter in the multimeter to measure I in. Okay. So to measure how much is the current in the circuit, so anywhere in the circuit you can connect the ammeter. Either you connect the ammeter here, or you connect the ammeter here, or here, or here. Just check that everywhere in the circuit the loop current is I in. Because it is a very simple series circuit. So anywhere you connect the ammeter, and you will get what is the current in the series circuit. But the biggest problem coming is, so there is the main important thing which I wanted to tell you through this session, how to connect an ammeter in the circuit. That is the biggest mistake most of the students are doing. So you have to understand what it is. So now the circuit is circuit. Vin is giving the supply to R1, R2, R3, and R1, R2, R3 is carrying some current. You want to measure actually how much is the current. So In value you want to know. So in that case, what you have to do is, again, to put the ammeter in the circuit, break the loop. Every time you are being asked to break the loop. So how many joints are there? Between Vin and R1 there is a joint. Between R1 and R2 there is a joint. Between R2 and R3 there is a joint. Between R3 and Vin negative there is a joint. So there are many joints. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 joints in the circuit because they are different components. So between Vin and R1 there is a joint, R1, R2 there is a joint, R2, R3 there is a joint, R3 and Vin negative there is a joint. You break any of these joints and the circuit becomes a open circuit. Circuit is not carrying any current in that case because circuit is broken. And in that joint you have to insert the ammeter. This is very important thing. Don't connect ammeter in parallel. Don't connect ammeter like this. In that case the ammeter will burn and it will go bad in no time. So this is the biggest mistake students are doing. They're very casually connecting an ammeter in parallel with a resistance, and the whole circuit will go bad. Not circuit, the whole ammeter will go bad. The main important thing is to put an ammeter in the circuit, break the loop, and then insert the ammeter in series with the resistor whose current is to be measured. That is very important thing. Never connect ammeter in parallel. I'll show you what is parallel connection with a resistor. That will burn the ammeter and spoil the ammeter forever. So this is the main point for which I want to focus in this slide. So to put an ammeter in the circuit, break the loop and then insert the ammeter in series with the resistor whose current is to be measured. A very important thing, break the loop. In measuring resistance also you had broken the loop. In inserting ammeter while measuring current also you have to break the loop. Never connect an ammeter in parallel with a resistor. That will burn the ammeter and spoil the ammeter forever. How to place an ammeter in the circuit? That is the main important point. So I told you there are 4 joints. R1 there is a joint. So all those joints you are making by simple connecting wires. Okay. So you are connecting this V into R1. So remove that wire. That connect you remove, and then you place the ammeter there. Okay. So how to do it? So first R2 and R3, let's say. Okay. So R2 and R3, there is a joint between them. Okay, so first actually there is a joint between R2 and R3. You have to break that. So R2 and R3 is connected with by means of some wire. You have to break that. Okay, and then open the loop between R2 and R3. Not necessarily R2 and R3. You can put the ammeter between R1 and R2 also. So in that case, you have to break this. Okay, and then after breaking, the R2 and R3, then you have to put the ammeter here. So ammeter is having two probes, one positive, one negative. Which side should be connected where? Whichever side is nearer to the positive of the battery, there you should connect the positive side. Because we know that in this loop, the current is flowing in the clockwise direction. So wherever the current is hitting the ammeter first, entering the ammeter, that side should be positive. So ammeter is having a red probe, ammeter is having a black probe. So the red should be connected to the point which is nearer to the positive of the supply, and the black thing should be connected which is nearer to the negative of the supply. So actually three things are very important. First is how to connect the ammeter. For connecting ammeter, first you have to break open the circuit. Any point, either you break open R2, R3, or you break between R1, R2, or you break between V in and R1, or you break between R3 and V in negative. Any point you break, because this is series circuit. Anywhere you connect the ammeter, it will be giving you the same reading. Okay. So I want to measure resistance R2 current or resistance R3 current. That means ammeter should be in series with that. So I have broken R2 and R3, and then I have to put ammeter here. The ammeter is having two probes, one red, one black. Okay. Red is supposed to be positive, black is supposed to be ground. In which side red probe should be there? Red probe should be there in this side, because this side is closer to positive. So whichever direction current is hitting the ammeter first, that means there is the entering junction of current, that side should be red. So this side should be red probe and this side should be black probe. So positive always should be the current entering point and black probe should be current exiting point. By mistake, if you have connected this side black probe and this side red probe, what you will find is, as current is entering through the negative junction, whatever current you will find, that will be negative. Okay, so you are getting a negative current, does not get, you do not get scared of that. That means to know the actual direction, you have to actually invert the direction of the ammeter. So these are very important two things: how to connect the ammeter and which direction should be positive, which direction should be negative. To connect ammeter, open the loop and then insert the ammeter there. Direction of the ammeter, the red should be closer to the positive side, wherever the positive of the supply is there. The black should be towards the closer point of the negative side. Now somebody says, I want to break between R1 and R2. No problem. So between R1 and R2 you break. In that case, this will be connected. Between R1 and R2 you have to break and open the ammeter with positive in the left side, negative in the right side. Somebody wants to say, I want to connect ammeter between V and R1. Equally good, no problem. Okay, so in that case you have to break open this point between V and R1 and insert the ammeter, and here this should be positive, this side, so this should be red and this should be black. Somebody wants to connect the ammeter at the output side, that is after R3. Okay, in that case the top part would be red and the bottom part should be black. So for this circuit current measurement, whatever is given here, for this circuit current measurement, anywhere you can put the ammeter, because all the components are in series. Whenever all the components are in series means every component is carrying the same current. That means you can connect the ammeter after any component with proper direction, that means red probe and black probe, and you will be getting the same current with proper direction in any direction. So between R2, R3 you can connect, between R1, R2 you can connect, between V and R1 also you can connect, between R3 and V negative also you can connect. So here it is positive, here it is negative. Okay. And even if you are not knowing exactly how to connect it, if you are connecting ammeter, getting negative reading, means what? You have to remove the ammeter and inverse the probe or revert the probe to get the positive reading. So this is a very important concept, that is how to connect the ammeter and which probe to be connected where. This I wanted to tell you. So final thing, never connect ammeter in parallel with a resistor. That means if I want to ask you find current through R1, you are connecting a ammeter parallel to R1. What will happen is that ammeter current range will burn then and there, and you can never measure current again by using that ammeter. Exactly the same thing is happening. I'll show you in the next slide. So all these connections are right to measure current through all these components by using the ammeter. How never to connect ammeter? Same thing I have explained, I am showing it here. Do not connect ammeter in parallel to resistor for current measurement. Very important thing, it will burn the current range of the ammeter. So what is the thing? This is how not to connect. So that's why I have shown it by red. So you want to measure current through R2. What to do? R1 and R2, you break this junction first and then insert ammeter. But here you are not breaking the junction. Here the same circuit or same loop is kept intact. So ammeter connected in parallel to the resistor, not accepted. Why not accepted? Because what is the internal resistance of our ammeter? Internal resistance of an ammeter is 0 ohm. Okay, internal resistance of voltage supply source is 0 ohm. Internal resistance of ammeter is 0 ohm. So when some current is flowing through this circuit, some current means it is IN. Okay, and what is the internal resistance of ammeter is 0 ohm. Now this current IN comes here. After that it can go through R2 or it can go through A. The whole current after R1 will go through A because the ammeter internal resistance is 0 ohm. And law of electrical engineering says that current always flows to the least resistance path. So if you are connecting an ammeter by mistake in parallel with R2, what happens is the current comes through R1 and after coming to this point, the current will go up and the whole current will flow through ammeter. And again it will come and flow through R3. But in that process, whenever a current is flowing through ammeter I and ammeter internal resistance is 0. So there is a big current. This big current is flowing through internal resistance of 0. So here I square R, I square into 0. That means huge amount of power is produced, and whatever is the internal resistance of the ammeter, which is very small, almost equal to 0, that thing will burn and the whole ammeter will burn. And no current is actually flowing through R2. So this circuit is whatever current you are getting here or burnt ammeter, this will be giving you the whole wrong reading or it will burn the ammeter internal resistance. So the same thing is showing here. So this is not accepted. Connecting ammeter in parallel to a resistance is not accepted, which is shown here. Why not? It is the given reason is given here. Why ammeter burns if connected in parallel? So this ammeter current range will burn. Internal resistance of ammeter is 0. We know that. Hence, when an ammeter is connected in parallel to a current carrying resistor, here the current carrying resistor is R2. Okay, the whole loop is there, R1, R2, R3, both are carrying, all are carrying current of IN. When a current carrying resistor is carrying a current of IN at that time, or carrying a current, as per the basic characteristic of electricity, all the currents flow through the least resistance path. That means after coming to this junction, all the resistance will go up and it will bypass the resistance R2. Again, it will come and join R3. So current carrying resistor and ammeter connected in parallel, as per basic characteristic of electricity, all the currents now flow through the least resistance path, that is through the parallelly connected ammeter. No current passes through the resistor R2. The ammeter burns as infinite current flows through it because resistance is 0, that means current flowing through is infinite. Hence I square loss and heat produced in the ammeter is infinite. So whatever small resistance values are there inside ammeter, that will burn and you will not be able to use that ammeter ever again. So please never connect ammeter in parallel with a resistance. Very big caution and very big request to you, because students have burnt a lot of multimeter, lot of ammeter ranges in this institution, in this college lab. So the ammeter, the multimeter will work fine because the ohm meter range and voltmeter range will work fine, but the ammeter range will not work because somebody has connected it in parallel with resistance and the current range has gone bad. So how to find equivalent current in the circuit? So I know what is the input voltage. So now onwards, let us have some values. So let us give the input voltage as 8 volt. Okay. This resistance values, all theoretical values I told you as 1000, 470 and 100. So these are all theoretical values. So this I am calling as IN theoretical. That means the measured value of resistances you are not considering, okay, which happens when you come to lab, which does not happen when you are doing it by using very simple simulator. So simulator, this kind of value you will be getting. So IN theoretical. Theoretical means with the actual values of the resistances, means theoretical value of the resistances. Okay, so 1000 ohm, 470 ohm, and 100 ohm. So total is 1570. 8 by 1570, 0.00509 ampere. Now here starts the bigger confusion. You initially we find you are not able to show the current properly. Okay, so you write 0.00509. Don't write like that. So there is a ENG button in your computer. By that you can convert all the small currents into milliampere. To tell you the circuit of electronics, there most of the circuits are carrying current in milliampere or microampere. So 1 ampere current or 0.5 in electronics. Generally, that kind of big current happens in electrical engineering. Electronics are generally dealing with currents in milliampere, microampere, nanoampere at certain times. Okay, so you must learn this ENG button function in your calculator. That is how to shift the position of zeros and how to convert the currents into milli, micro, nano, etc. Okay, so ENG, forward ENG, reverse ENG, both are there. So just check what is the ENG facility in your calculator. So as soon as you get 0.00509 ampere, don't write like that. You write as shift this by 3 digits, 5.09 milliampere. And this is small m and capital A. Okay. I am practical. Now I told you the things 1000 ohm, let's suppose is showing 990. 470 let's is showing 455 and 100 is showing 104. So these are with tolerance, these are just assumed values I have taken. This may be different, so do not get confused. So practical values are something different than the theoretical values, and with the practical values you will be getting suppose 5.16 milliampere. So this is red thing, whatever current is shown, this you have to do the calculation. So initially we explain all these experiments to you. I give you the resistor values, you have to calculate all the theoretical values, and then you have to shift to your table where you will perform the experiment. And while perform the experiments, you get to see that 1000 is showing 990, 470 is showing 455, and 100 is actually showing 108. Sorry, 100 is actually showing 104. Practically measured values, and these are actually theoretical values. So this calculation you have to do first, fill the calculated observation table, and then you have to go to the table to perform the experiment. And theoretically you are finding equivalent current is 5.09 milliampere. Practically you will be finding the current is little bit more because equivalent resistance is little bit less, because these resistance values are showing tolerance. But whenever you are doing the same experiment with some kind of circuit simulator, your answer will be correct one, that is 5.09 milliampere, and with practical values it is 5.16 milliampere. Parameters found so far, so only we have done the first two parts, first two objectives of this experiment. So initially the theoretical values 1000, 470, 100. After you have gone to your table and you have measured it by ohm meter, you are finding some deviations. I've just taken a case. Okay, so this is 9000 is showing 990, 470 is showing 455, and 100 is showing 104. I'm sorry, this should be 104. Please correct it. Okay, 108 cannot be, because in 108 it goes beyond the tolerance level. Okay, so this should be 104. As shown here, it is 104. So please correct it. It should be 104. So R equivalent theoretical, that is 1000, 470, 100. That should be 1570, and R equivalent practical, that is 990 plus 455 plus 104. That should be 1549. So what conclusion is, due to the tolerance, the actual value of equivalent resistance has reduced by 21 ohm. Okay, so this is what tolerance is doing to the circuit. Okay, so initially it was 1570, that is the theoretical value R equivalent, but practically when you measure it by ohm meter and you show it, you might find some deviation from the actual 1570 value. And with 1570, input voltage is 8 volt. There is no problem with that. Okay, because this 8 volt you are setting from DC power supply. So with 1570, so 8 divided by 1570, you might find 5.09 milliampere. That is the equivalent circuit current, or IN. With 1549, as the equivalent resistance is reduced, you will find that equivalent practical current, or IN practical, has increased from 5.09 to 5.16. So this 5.16 milliampere current is little increased than the theoretical 5.09, because the R equivalent theoretical is little greater than R equivalent practical. So as current, as voltage resistance is reduced, that means current will increase. So what we check during experimentation is, this is your calculated value and this is your experimentally obtained value by using measurements, and they are almost correct, and we will say okay, your experiment is done. Okay, and all this thing has to be tabulated in form of a table. Let us go for the voltage measurement. So initial resistance measurement, current measurement is done. So mainly